Hey there, how you doing today? You know what day it is today? It's National Pumpkin Day, and we've got one of these fun, warty pumpkins to sketch and paint today. So I just found out that it was National Pumpkin Day. Oh, and I have the audio on in the other room. So I'm going to turn that off. I am going to put this up here for you to see. And I want you to check that out for a minute, and I'm going to go turn off the audio in the other room. All righty. So, yes, it is National Pumpkin Day. I just found out. So, I just thought I would do this impromptu drawing and sketching demonstration, and it's going to be really simple and really fun. I've done something similar like this in the past, and this is kind of like the finished product. So, it should be pretty fun. Now, tell me if you're watching in the chat box if you've purchased one of these for Halloween or just the spooky season. This is one of the bumpy kinds. So pumpkins evolved right here in North America, and they've been domesticated for thousands of years, especially in Central America and by the Native Americans who use them for many purposes. Of course, we love to carve them and make pumpkin pie and pumpkin lattes and pumpkin soup. So tell me if you've got one of these and what your favorite dessert is with pumpkins. Well, I make an actually savory pumpkin soup that's not so sweet. Anyway, so we're going to look at this pumpkin. I've got a photograph that I just took of it that we're going to use so that we're both looking at the same thing. So these come in a lot of different sizes and shapes and colors with different kinds of bumps. And so it's super fun. You don't have to be too perfect when you're drawing it. And then they have these really fun stems that sometimes curl around on themselves. So they have a whole lot of personality. Okay, so I am going to be using, what am I going to be using today? I am going to be using some watercolor paper that I taped down here. You could just use a sketchbook or whatever. I've just got a couple of different pens. I'm not going to bother trying to do a really fancy drawing first. I'm just going to go straight in with pen. I've got two different sizes. And I've even got some highlighter pens for afterwards that have white. And then I've got a couple sizes of watercolor brushes. And then I've got a container of water with me. And then I squeezed out some fresh watercolors so my colors would be really beautiful and bright. And I'm using Daniel Smith's and what else? M. Graham's and what else? Winsor and Newton's. So I'm just using a couple yellows and an orange and a red and a green and some kind of darkish bluish colors. But you could just get away with orange and green if you want. And then let's see, I have my little spray bottle and I like to spray my watercolors, even though these are pretty fresh. I just squoze them out about an hour ago. I like to spray here and get them a little wetter. All righty. And then let's see. Oh, I even have this fun Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White, which can give some really nice bright highlights because this is pretty shiny. And you can see it has some pretty bright highlights, especially with the bright lights in the studio or the light of the moonlight on a spooky Halloween night. And speaking of Halloween, I hope you remember that I'm doing a special all week this next week, Monday through Friday, my spooky nature sketching. So I hope you've found out about that. So anyway, let's get going. So I'm going to share this picture with you. And let's see. Let me see. Add to stage. Oh, there we go. Let's see. How do I get this? Which one is it? Trying to get that bigger. Well, I think actually I'm just going to keep it like this because then you can see my drawing surface, you can see the pumpkin, and this is going to be really easy. This isn't rocket science, so you don't have to look really closely at my drawing, and I will enlarge that once in a while. But basically what I want you to notice is it's just a really fun looking pumpkin, mainly orange with a bunch of these fun bumps. And again, really easy because they doesn't matter the size of bumps or the color. It's just a kind of combination of yellows and oranges and a little bit of green here and there. And this tannish, greenish, brownish stem. Okay. So I don't know if you can say hi in the chat box. I know a few people are watching. You might want to tell me if you're going to just watch or follow along. So I'm just going to start off. Actually, I'm going to start off with I'm going to get big and bold. Now I'm using these Sharpie pens, so they're going to dry right away and I can use watercolors on top of them. So this is just a fun, quick demo, something fun that you can do with kids too. It's not too fussy. We're not trying to make a botanical illustration or anything here. So let's see, my pumpkin. I think I'm going to make my stem actually go to the side a little bit more like this so I can make my pumpkin a bit bigger. So anyway, you do you, whatever. So my pumpkin's going to be about this big. Let's see, about that big. I think the stem's going to start here. And my stem, I'm going to have it kind of going around a few times like this. Oops, my pen is running out. Oops, oh well. And then I'm going to have the back of my pumpkin come behind the stem. And we're just going to kind of go like this. And like this. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. And then I think I'm going to add this other pen. It's a narrower pen, and it's going to be my bumps. So we've got lots of fun bumps. And again, I'm not trying to be too exact here. We're just going to make some fun lines of bumps. And some of them are bigger than other ones, and just some of them connect, and some of them are all by themselves. So you just put bumps wherever you want. They kind of look like little warty things, don't they? And these are going to make some fun shadows too, which I love to add some shadows. And then, yeah, so we got some other bumps here. So some of the bumps are on the edge, and some of the bumps come in from the edge. We're not going to see this outline of the pumpkin so much when we're done, so it doesn't matter that I'm kind of running out of ink. So, yeah, these warts. Some of them are kind of yellow and orange and green and kind of some cream color. Anyway, I'm just noticing that they're kind of going in these arching patterns. Actually, I might make a couple of these come in front here. Make a few more because this is the most fun part here. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to let you guys catch up with that. And I'm going to get a better pen because it's kind of driving me nuts. The Sharpie's dying. So you just keep looking at this for a minute. And yeah, I'll be right back. Keep drawing. All righty, I'm all set with another pen. So here we go. Oh, that's even better. Okay, great. So I think I will go over this a bit more and let you catch up. So this is going to go around, I think. The most fun part of this is going to be the wet in wet painting. And I'm just making the stem look a little bit spooky. And then like the outline here. So tell me if you've got some Halloween plans. I've already done some fun Halloween things. I went on a spooky ghost walk that was led by a local historian around our town. And we learned about some real life murder mysteries and ghost stories, and it was super fun. And then on Wednesday night, I'm going to the library and there's a talk on owls, spooky owls. And then you get to wander around the library, and it's like a living history night where people are going to be dressed up like Edgar Allan Poe, who's going to be standing in the fiction aisle where his books are, and other spooky authors in their respective aisles where their books are. So that should be really fun. Okay, so anyway, I got my outline. I don't know if you can tell me in the chat box if you're following along, but so yeah, I got my outline, and I don't know. Oh yeah, I can make that bigger. So yeah, that's there. So just kind of really fun. And then I'm gonna use my paints, and I already kind of moistened them here. And I'm just going to make these wet washes. So I'm just going to get rid of these. Again, it's just going to be really fun and loose. And I'm going to use a nice big brush so I don't have to do too much scrubbing. And I always like to start with the lightest color and then add in drops of other things. So I'll start with this yellow and then add in wet and wet, some orange and red, and then some green, and then we've got these other dark greens and blacks. So that's fun. And then I got my water container, which is just a nice sturdy container. It's like a ramekin for baking. And I love these because they're really heavy. So there's no way you're going to knock these over. It's really easy to do that when you're painting, especially demonstrating painting. You don't want to do that. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell me in the chat box if you've got your sketch already. I think I will go back to this. And yeah, I think I'm going to go back to this because you really don't need to see me painting close up. This is just something fun for you to do too. So I am just going to be first just mixing some yellow, and that's most of this guy is a version of yellow, because orange is yellow and red and green is yellow and blue. So I can just pretty much paint the whole pumpkin. In fact, I might even add just some touches of yellow in here, although most of it is a darker color. But I'm just going to, yeah, I think I'm going to make a big thing of yellow, a big thing of orange. Oops, muddied that. Yeah, and then I'm just going to paint this whole thing. And just super quick. Because the fun part is when you start dropping in the other colors. And so, yeah, I'm glad I used these fresh paints. A lot of times people, well, I have lots of paint palettes. And so some of my paints have been in palettes literally for 10 or 20 years. So it's good to use fresh paint. And yeah, I'm not being too fussy. I'm just trying to move this around quickly because I want this to be a wet in wet drawing or painting. Actually running out of, oops. Oh, well, happy accident. I will add some fun background later, so that won't matter. Okay. So yeah, I like things to be wet in wet. So I'm just gonna, and again, I ran out of yellow paint a bit, so that doesn't matter. So I love to just be fun and fast and casual. Just to show you, you don't have to be all picky. Okay, so anyway, most of this is a much darker orange. And then all those nice highlights, we'll probably try to add those back in with these. And you could always use charcoal or colored pencil or something later on. I might try to avoid some of these, but we'll see. Okay, so now I'm gonna add in my orange. And again, I'm just gonna make a big pile of it here and add it in to most of the pumpkin. And I'm just gonna be really kind of here and there. It's more fun when it looks more dynamic when you do this, one color over the other. And especially like glazing, if we had the time to glaze, which is letting them dry between layers, those colors are much more interesting. So who likes to watch The Great Pumpkin? Every year I watch, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And I did actually visit a pumpkin patch and also a corn maze. And they also had fun things to pick. It was a you pick vegetable garden. And I might have, you might have joined me for that last week, I think, when I was drawing some things that I found. Yeah, and if I wanted to, I could always lift a little bit of this because there are some highlights we see on some of the pumpkin, especially right in front of us here. So I'm just lifting with a clean brush a bit in a few areas. Cleaning and wetting my brush because that'll look a little more natural than adding these. Although I can add some charcoal pencils later on too. So I can just lift out some of these highlights. And see if you push hard enough. Now, I don't know if you can see this. Maybe we'll just get this bigger for you for now. So that's a happy accident. I'll put a background later in. But anyway, right now I'm just kind of adding some highlights, and most of those highlights would be more towards the top of the pumpkin. And you can see I'm just tapping here and there. But anyway, if I want to make some stronger highlights later on, I can do that. Okay. So since I'm not seeing any chat here, I don't know if you have any questions or anything. So, and I don't know how to do this. Yeah, I don't know how to do the pumpkin and the drawing. It just keeps having my face. Yeah, okay. So I don't think that's going to work. Okay, well, anyway, I'll let you guys really just keep looking at your pumpkin. That's what really matters because, again, this isn't rocket science, and I'm not trying to show you how to do a detailed, botanical drawing. So anyway, I was just kind of lifting here. All righty. And then so we have some green dots here and there. And so I'm just going to take some of my sap green paint and drop that here and there. And I think I'll add more than I actually see because pumpkins, again, really vary. Like I have this other pumpkin here that looks different, and it has different amounts of the green in it. Like there, you see the fun green. So these are just an interesting variety. The species is actually Cucurbita pepo, and the warty one is variety verrucoso. Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to drop in some green for fun, more than I see, just because I want to. And I do notice that all of the green is just on the bumps. So I'm glad I've let this dry a little bit because I don't want this green to bleed into the body of the pumpkin. I want it to mainly just be on some of these bumps. Okay. Alrighty. So now maybe I'll add some shadowing. So we see a lot of shadowing along the back and the edge. And so let's see, what could I do? Well, I could actually also just use this fun red. I love this red. And I could just drop, what's that look like? Oh yeah, I could just drop that in various places. And also, just to give it some character. And I think that's one of my favorite reds. And I am trying to do things in these arcs because you see that the pumpkin is sort of arched like this. And the brightest part is right in the center. So I'm going to leave that mostly just the pure orange. Now I'm going to make a little bit more of a shadow color. I'm adding some of this I have a Pyroline green. I also have a Payne's blue gray. Okay. And let's see what that does. Yeah, so I'm just gonna add some shadows. I'll just do this whole bottom part. And then those shadows kind of come up a bit in the creases of the pumpkin. All right. And also this whole back area is a bit more shadowed. Yeah, and this is shadowed. And so, yeah, you don't have to worry too much. I'm going to put some shadow back here. Maybe a little bit of this Payne's gray. So we see behind the stem. All right. And then, yeah, there's some creases sort of that are coming down with shadow a bit. And yeah, a little bit more here. And again, so I just mixing and just playing here. Playing. And continuing to kind of look back and forth at my pumpkin. How's that looking? Okay, I think I want a little bit more of this orange. A lot of people would kind of quit right now, but oh, that's fun. I'm getting a little bit gaudy here, but that's fun. So a lot of people might quit and say, oh, this is a mess. But we're trying to have fun with Halloween, and we're going to just keep adding some stuff. And yeah, there's these creases in the pumpkin kind of run here. I could cool down that shadow a bit more. Yeah, I think I'll cool it down a bit more in just a few places here for some nice contrast. Got to go big or go home. Okay, and I think I'll add, I think I'll use this kind of perylene green and gray to get my stem now. And then I'll come back to this in a second, add some more details. And then, that stem has some neat parallel lines. And I actually could use a smaller brush maybe for that. Why don't I do that? A slightly smaller brush and slightly drier brush. And I'm going to just add these lines. That's kind of fun. And there are some pretty bright highlights, making this go behind and that go behind. Okay. And I think I might add a little green. I don't know, you guys probably can't see that I'm adding this green. And a lot of those lines are quite fine. So you might want to go in later with a colored pencil or something. But that is this long stem. Okay, that's fun. All right, let me show you what I got so far. Oh, wait, how do I do this? Okay, so that's kind of what I have so far. So I just want to start adding some nice shadows to these bumps. So there's shadows on the bumps and also cast shadows to the right of the bumps. Now our lighting is really flat in here, and so is the lighting on our pumpkin, but we do see some cast shadow. Let's pretend that our light is coming from the upper left. That's what I usually do. I don't know where my little sun icon is that I usually have, but we're going to pretend that so that we can add a cast shadow and we can just make it a bit more obvious. So the really fun part is making these bumps look more realistic. And so I'm gonna add, I'm gonna add some details. Let's see, what can I do here? What am I gonna do here? I think I'm just gonna make a really muted orange, kind of a brownish orange here. We'll just see how that goes. And this is still a little bit too wet, so it might be bleeding in, but I'm just gonna give some shadows to some of these. And then when it's more dry, some shadows on the actual body of the pumpkin that are being cast by the bumps, by the little warts. So it's so fun nowadays. There are so many different varieties of pumpkins, even white ones. I think I have a white one. Yeah, I have this fun white one here, and they make these fun miniature ones. So there's just a million kinds. And there's even these weird ones, which I think are a different species, certainly a different variety. So they come in a lot of different sizes and shapes. So yeah, anyway, I'll just add some shadows. Again, pretending my light is coming from the upper left. And since I did this pretty wet and wet, but I don't want, now I want to do a little bit of more dry technique, especially for these cast shadows. It would really help if I had my hair blow dryer, because sometimes I'll use that. And I'm going to make these over here a little darker because they're going around the edge here, away from the light. So yeah, okay. So it's really great if I had my blow dryer, I could dry things. All righty. Okay, so I don't have my blow dryer. Oh, I know what I'll do. Well, that's drying a little bit. I will make a cast shadow. And now this one is laying on its side. So I guess I'll just do that kind of cast shadow. Well, I don't want to make that big. Let's just pretend that this is standing up and it's just, it's sitting on like a table or something right here. So we're going to make just a shadow with, what do I have here? My Payne's blue gray. And I'm going to try to just make a big pile of that. And I'm going to add it over here. And I'm going to try to be really careful since this is pretty wet still. So I'm trying not to touch the edge here too much. And so, yeah, our cast shadow here is going to tell us that this is standing up like it was in a field, in the great pumpkin field. Does anybody believe in the great pumpkin? I do. I totally believe in the great pumpkin. And the height of the shadow and the length is really going to depend on what you're considering to be like your time of day. Trying to make it a little bit more rounder. And the shadow would probably be darker, closer. Ooh, so I'm going to just dip a little bit darkness here. Okay, fun. Now this stem may or may not be kind of casting some of a shadow. We might have a shadow coming really light over like this. Just depends. Okay, how's that? That's fun. Okay, now yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. It's kind of stuck on there, isn't it? Well, we'll do something fun with that in the end. Okay, so now I'm going to add some better cast shadows to these guys. So we've got all these fun warty bumps. This is where it starts to look really more three-dimensional, right? Let me show it to you again. Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to add some fun 3-dimension. And so I think I'm just going to use this Payne's gray, and I'm not going to mix it with any water. I'm going to have it really dry, because we're doing these wet and wet layers. Each layer has to be drier and less water. so that it'll go on top and it won't be too much water and make the paper buckle. Paper is buckling a little bit already. And remember, our sun's coming from our upper left. Yeah, so we're going to have these cast shadows, and they'll be a little bit different. Just kind of have fun with them. So the width of these shadows is going to tell us a bit about how high each of these little bumps are. And they're going to be darker here. I'll probably add some more. Yeah, and don't make them too perfect, because again, these warts, these warty wart things have, different heights. That's starting to look more fun. See how much more real that was looking? Okay. And yeah, there's more of a shadow over here too, I think. Yep. And I think, yeah, I do want to make this pumpkin look really three-dimensional. So I'm going to try to add a bit more dark down here. A bit more here. Because this is like a sphere. So it's going to reflect light when my roommate's home. She'll probably be coming in with the dog pretty soon. That's fine. No big deal. Okay. So, then we can add some highlights, and that can be done later on when this is dry with opaque gouache or acrylics or white charcoal pencils or some of this fun pH bleed proof Martins. Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. Or these are just my favorite, these Posca pens. So you got to shake them up really good. And I like to just kind of get that going. Yeah, get it wet there. And this is going to be fun. Actually, I'm going to use the narrower one. I use the narrow one for the stem because those are those really fine lines of the stem. You probably can't see that very well. And then fatter ones, the fatter Uni Posca. And again, our sun's coming here, so there's going to be a lot more highlights on the upper part. And I'm just going to make these highlights kind of bumpy because, again, these bumps are super bumpy. See them? That pumpkin's starting to rot a little bit. So I'm going to try to really emphasize more of the highlights, mostly on the top. And mostly on this side of the pumpkin, because this side, again, is going into the shade. So, but this is showing up. Hi, Gibbs. Doggy's here. Good dog. Okay. And then maybe a little bit here, because again, we had some pretty sharp shadows. Go on, Gibbs. Go on. Go on. I know you want to be on TV. He's the most adorable dog. So we're going to do some sharp highlights right here. Yeah, he's fine. We're almost done. Okay, great. So it's no worries. Okay, so yeah, see how those really help now? And some more here, focusing on the top. So yeah, we really want to make this three-dimensional. So we want to keep this down here a little less, although sometimes there will be a bit of reflected light, a little bit towards the bottom, light reflecting back up on the pumpkin. So we could add a little bit there. You see how that helps a bit? But yeah, we want to emphasize here. Okay, so we're almost done. Are there any questions in the chat box there? And you can, let this dry, and again, add as much detail as you want with colored pencils or, really dry watercolor, dry brush technique watercolors. No questions. Okay, you guys are doing great. Well, I'd love to see your sketches and paintings. You can post them on Facebook or Instagram, or email them to me at hello@christinelder.com. I'd love to see your work. And I hope you'll join me for my Spooky Nature Week. It's Monday through Friday this coming week. Each day we focus on a different kind of plant or animal. Tomorrow's going to be plants, and we're going to do carnivorous plants. Okay, so how's that look? And yeah, don't be too exact. I think I really want to emphasize there was just a lot of strong cast shadows or reflections here from that full spooky moon, right? And so, yeah, sometimes people stop too soon, but you really have to go all the way, be really bold with your highlights and your shadows. Gibbs, come here. Be really bold with your highlights and your shadows. And then that's when things are really going to pop. Okay. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed joining me for this impromptu, quick watercolor activity. There we go. See how fun and easy this is? And we just spent a few minutes. We just worked light and loose. We started with those waterproof pens in 2 different sizes. And we depicted the outer shape and then all those fun little bumps and warts. And then we put a few layers of wet and wet watercolor, and then added some deep cast shadows on the warts, and then some highlights of the highlighted portion with pens. So thanks so much for joining me today, and it's been really fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I hope to see you this week for Spooky Nature Sketching Week. Okay, take care. Bye.